Good evening. I am live. Wilson is having audio trouble. He's restarting his computer. He should be on in a few moments. Haven't heard from Paulo, which usually means he's showing up. But he's not here just yet. We'll see if he shows up in a few minutes. Meanwhile, I'll come on and say hello, all dressed up in my green. See how everyone out there is doing tonight. I was to the comic shop this week, of course, and got 6 There's Paulo. Good evening, Paulo. Paulo is here with us.
Yes, I am.
Wilson will be on in a few minutes. He's having audio trouble. He just messaged us. Tit Goblin is here with us, along with
My
Timey.
computer decided to update Microsoft Teams all of a sudden for no reason whatsoever.
Updates. They'll get you. And how are you doing this evening, Paulo?
I'm less tired.
That's good. Less tired than last week.
Oh yeah, but I was watching Old Wolf 65 stream until 3 in the morning as well.
Old Wolf 65, did you say?
Yeah, Tony. Yeah.
I don't think I know him. Old Wolf. What was he talking about on the stream?
Not much actually. No, here's the thing. You know how we spent the first 5 minutes talking about the weather?
Yep.
That thing. They were talking about the weather for 2.5 hours.
Good evening, Eric P.
No, but he had 9 people on at once. So.
Oh wow, that's tough to juggle.
Yeah.
Especially in like this format, like where no one's really in charge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not a radio show where you can cut off people's mics and have one person talk, kind of.
And even if we were in a round table, there would be one guy who was really in charge of the conversation, even on a round table, and we're all looking at each other in a more natural manner. I mean, we're looking at the screens, and I'm looking at you, but I'm also looking at myself, and we're all looking at the screen and not at each other. It's not a natural way of engaging in conversation.
It's a strange thing with that.
Yes,
that many people, especially.
It's still trying to update Microsoft Teams. I'm not even. Stop it.
Stop it already. Stop it.
I swear.
Want to see a freebie I got this week?
Freebies.
2 freebies. This was pretty interesting. Radiant Black, the story so far, which is a free. It's about 8 pages, is it? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-page freebie. And remember how we were talking last week about Monstrous 51? And I was like, or 53? No one's gonna pick up Monstrous 53. It's it's not the way comics are bought these days. Well, I thought I don't know if this is going to get any new readers. But as I think it was 2 weeks ago, I showed, or no, it was just last week. I showed Radiant Black number 31. That's this one on the back, A Bold New Era.
If Radiant Black was a series of mini-series with the occasional foray into a secondary character having their own story, that would make more sense. Like if Mike Mignola had done that for Hellboy, it would make sense because Hellboy starts something, then it ends, then it starts something, then it ends.
Well, this was also when I say I don't know who exactly they are. Their attempt to make a cohesive superhero universe in Image. I guess whoever the creators were, because there's Radiant Black, there was a Radiant Red, trade paperback. That was a mini. And Radiant Pink, that was another mini. Plus, it can tie in with a couple of other things, like Rogue Sun is in the same so there's a few things taking place within the same universe. So I think they were trying to do that too with it. But this really does it does a very good job on catching you up on because the first 30 issues were kind of their own big story arc, and now we're starting something else. So it does a really good job of catching you up in 12 pages or so, 12 or 14 pages. So I have to say, if you want to check out what Radiant Black is out about, here's a freebie for you from your local comic shop. So I like I said, I don't know if it'll pick them up any new readers, but you could start with issue 31 and you're on the ground floor again. So
Right.
It's evening comic crack. How are you doing tonight? And then we got Tit Galapalo. Notice this week a few local places reestablished some old trade partnerships with Portuguese businesses, cousins again.
Give us your fish. We will pay you with beads.
Yeah, but I thought it was and I'm not sure if these are all pickup panels or this was all redrawn for this, because I don't really recognize the panels. But they have 30 issues to choose panels from, so there's a very good chance I won't recognize them. But I thought it was a pretty good idea for catching people up to a long-running series that just started. There's Wilson. How are you doing?
Hey.
I'm doing all right. And yourself?
Pretty good. We can hear you, so that's good.
Yeah, it was just that I could hear on my mic, but when I was speaking, there was nothing being registered. So I was like, let me restart the computer. It's been a while since I restarted. So
that fixes most things.
Yeah, trying turning it off and on.
Did you see this free? Did you make it to the comic shop this week?
I did make it to the comic book shop, but I did not see that in the free section.
Yeah, there's a freebie, and they're catching us up on the Radiant Black storyline. You want some candies? Okay, watch out. There's a wire right there. Okay. My sister's looking after the kids from next door who want some candies I got down here.
Okay.
Some icebreakers. Good thing there's more. I got some over here. You can have some of those too.
You want some comics? I got some Robert Crumb right here.
So this was a pretty good, nice freebie.
Well,
you got a bunch of comics there, Wilson.
I do. A good chunk. Well, at least 4 of them are the freebies. So I was seeing maybe it was one of the flip ones, but I have the Marvel freebie, the IDW freebie with Godzilla versus Aliens, and then I thought it might have been the Image freebie, but it's not. And
I got that Image one too.
The DC Connects as well.
Only 2 left in there. Okay. We're out of wintergreen. Good thing it's not one of my favorites. I'm not usually a wintergreen fan, but I think someone gave me that. But yeah, good stuff in the story. Like issue 31, the one that came out last week, is the start of a whole new big, because they wrapped up the sort of series story arc, which was the first 30 issues. And this recaps the first 30 issues pretty well in big panels and everything, not tiny little panels.
That's good. Someone on YouTube, I think, also did a Radiant Black kind of a breakdown of what was going on, and that it broke into the two stories, and did like a whole breakdown of the series. It escapes me who did it.
All right, watch out for the wire. Oop, there you go. All righty. Oh, she's back.
New YouTube star.
That's Sewa from next door.
Oh, and the freebie of the comic shop news also picked
Yeah,
up
my
today.
shop doesn't get that anymore.
Oh no?
No, I haven't got it in like a year or so. They stopped getting it.
Not sure what's. I don't really have a cover, but it is a cover. So a nice Spider-Man image in the front.
Yep. In about 3 weeks, I'm going to have my largest week ever, I think.
Really?
I went a little because last week was a big week. I had 9 comics, I think it was. Which means next month the same at 8 or 9, I forget which one, are coming out. So I'll have I'll have 9 comics again. And then I went a little crazy on Final Order Cutoff because besides my regular 9 comics, Chris Geruso has 4 of his cover because he's got 15 covers coming out in April. All of those official handbook ones. So there'll be 4 coming out in 3 weeks, the first 4 of them. So I pre-ordered those. So that brought me to like 13. Then I think I ordered, or maybe it was 8, it brought me to 12. Then I ordered, whatever it was, I think 21 comics was my total. And I ordered a whole bunch of like one shots and first issues. It's like I remember like who does What's the Furthest Place from Here? Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg, I think, do that. And they each have a first issue coming out that week. Like Tyler Boss has a first issue coming out that week, and Matthew Rosenberg has a first issue coming out that week. So I'm like, may as well try both of those. Though the most expensive thing I got, which seems pretty, I think it was like $15. You know how they're doing Hush 2?
Yes.
Which I really don't have much interest in. But the first, which is Jim Lee drawing it, and I guess Jeff Loeb is writing it. But the first issue for $15, they're putting out as a Treasury edition size, 11 by 17. So I was like, all right, I'll look at, for $15, I'll look at some big Jim Lee artwork. Why not? I'm not buying the rest of the series. I may as well try that one. But so like 3 weeks from now, I'm gonna have so many comics that I like it. I don't know if I've ever had a 21 comic week. Maybe sometime in my youth, but that's a lot of comics for 1 week.
I easily had that in the 90s. I easily had it because at one point I was getting almost. I feel like I was getting almost everything,
Right.
And it's not even including when I got the stuff from Marvel, but it was like when I was working in the comic book shop, I kind of wanted to know what was going on everywhere in comics at the time. So it was one of those things. It's like if I wasn't buying them, I was at least reading them when there was like downtime at the shop and stuff like that, because I just kind of wanted to know what was happening everywhere. And it helped that I had a 2-hour bus ride home. So
yeah. May as well read some comics.
Exactly.
You get time to read them all. Robert Crumb. Hey, kids, have you heard of Mr. Natural? That kid's my new favorite addition to Cavern of Chaos. Bumped out Chris. Yeah, Eric P. My shop has been getting Zdarsky Comics news that I've been picking up. Yeah, I only saw that once. I think my shop didn't get any beyond the first one. So I've not seen it. 62 Lefty Blues House smells like a Friday. Evening, people. Good evening, 62 Lefty. And on tonight's edition of Get the Right Tool for the Right Job, you remember when I got the negatives to Bunny, issue number 21. For those of you who don't remember, these are the these are the negatives that are made, that they make the printing press from. They make the printing plates for printing the comic. This is from the 70s. This is Bunny number 21 that I bought. Each of these is a plate, the black plate, the yellow plate, the cyan plate, the magenta plate. And if you remember, I showed these. I got them last year sometime, maybe. When I originally scanned them in, since they're negatives, they're also called transparencies, which generally means you need something called a transparency adapter on your scanner to scan them in, at least to scan them in correctly. I don't have that transparency adapter on my scanner. I can scan in negative. I can't scan in a transparency that big. So when I scanned them in, I used my flatbed scanner, which does the job okay, but not really well. I decided to bring them into my school because I discovered I knew they had a transparency adapter on their scanner. I'm like, and I'm showing my students how to scan anyway. I'm like, I should scan those in again. So I scanned them in again, and boy, did it do a good job. Having the right tool for the right job really helps. Let me just show you. Here's a printout I made of the old one. I made back when I did these. Here's the sort of bleached out one in front here. This is the old printout, and the really pink one is the new printout. And you can see there's the new one, all that nice sharp color, and here's the old one, where the color's all bleached out. You can see the difference the transparency adapter made. Because with the transparency adapter, it shoots light through the transparency as it's like when I'm doing it on the flatbed, it's kind of on a white background and it picks up whatever it can against the white background. But the transparency, matter of fact, it may even shoot light both ways. I'm not sure. But if you've ever seen a scanner with a transparency adapter, there's on a usual flatbed scanner, you put the art there, and underneath the art is a lamp. They call it a scanner lamp, and it shoots a really bright light as it goes across. On the transparency adapter, there's a light in the lid too, so it shoots. So there's no white background, and it shoots. They can shoot light both ways, but boy, did it do a good job. I was like, wow, this is this is what it was built for. So I had fun scanning them. I even made the acetate overlay. This is how you proofed them. Each plate was printed out on its own sheet of acetate, which I did this just on my inkjet printer. There's the yellow plate, yellow and blue, yellow, blue, and red, and then the black plate over it gives you the full thing. But when I did this with the old scans, it came out really light and crappy. So let that be a lesson to everyone. The right tool for the right job really helps.
Yep. Very cool. And that you were able to put it all together and pretty much make a printer's proof for it. Print up some copies.
Oh my God, I haven't seen a film negative since 1989, maybe 1992. Yeah. I might there's one, I was looking on eBay because now that I got that one done so well, I'm like, let me see if what else is out there. And if you look up comic book production art on eBay, there's a lot of stuff, and it's mostly of dubious origin too, I'd say, because who knows where it comes from. But there was like one other for a Bugs Bunny comic. I'm like, do I really want it? I don't know. We'll see. But I do notice that the film negatives are about the cheapest production art you can buy because they don't look good by themselves. Like they'll have like an acetate of the black line that they're selling. Like this one, I think this, when I bought the acetates of this, it cost me with shipping and tax about $55. If they were just to sell the black line of this cover, they'd sell it for like $100 because
Right.
that looks good. You know, unless you know what to do with those negatives, they don't look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
it's
A lot of
interesting.
those printing stuff, like I have around here somewhere from a newspaper, a comic strip, one panel kind of joke strip. That's the
Uh-huh.
original printing block.
Ah.
So you would set it up with the rest of the with the type and stuff like that, and it's a negative, obviously. And it was something that was like, oh, that's unique and that's pretty cool, and it's a production thing. Let me grab it. I think I paid maybe $15 for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's this thing that I could kind of like use almost as a stamp, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this just for the novelty of it was why I got it. It's like I'm not gonna be printing this out on anything at the moment.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Want to show us a comic you got?
Sure. So I picked this up mainly because of the nostalgia of it, and it's a Michael Golden. No, not Michael Golden. Sorry, Mike Mignola cover. Dynamite has the first issue of the Herculoids.
I was like, it's got to be the Herculoids because I was looking at that Mike Mignola cover.
Yep.
In the store, I was like, oh, look at that.
And it was like I picked this above the sketch cover because it's like, oh, I could do my own sketches. I do like drawing the Herculoids. Yeah. They had a ton of covers.
Yes.
And so it was almost a whole rack of covers going across. But they didn't have everything, but they had a lot of it. And I was tempted to, grab a couple of more because they are nice looking covers. But I was like, I don't know if the book's going to be any good. So if I'm going to grab one, I'm going to grab the Mike Mignola one.
And how much was it? $5?
It was what was it? It was $4.99.
Yeah, it's tough to spend $5 on just a cover.
Yes.
The Linsner cover looks good.
Eric P says I got that Herculoids as well. It was an okay first issue.
It looks like a Linsner. It does look like the Herculoids, but it also looks like the Linsner.
Right.
Remember when First Comics brought out Shatter around 1984 and told us everything about comics was about to change forever? It was about to change forever. It just took another 10 years.
Yep. I like it.
Maybe 15.
It looks a little bit like the cartoon. So I think I'll enjoy it.
Okay. Who's the creative team?
Let's see. Craig Rousseau is the artist. So it looks like he penciled and inked it. Tom Snigoski? I don't recognize that name.
Tom Snigoski. He worked on what? Like 15 years ago. He was doing things with Matt Wagner, or was it with Mignola? I can't remember.
Don't recall.
But he was around for a while. What's Tom Snigoski been doing? Because I think he's also a novelist.
Omi, O-M-I, Ami, Omi. Ramonte Jr. is the colorist, and Jeff Eckelberry is the letterer.
He worked on stuff with Christopher Golden. That's I remember. Golden and Snigoski. That was a team, yeah.
Oh, okay.
These are.
The Herculoids. I just remember that guy shooting that thing out of his horn, that dinosaur. The Herculoids wasn't on when I was a kid. It kind of got rerun when I was like 15 or something. Probably the early 80s. I remember it coming around because it was a
I know.
60s. It was a 60s cartoon, but I know like people my age saw it, like, because in those days in different parts of the country you'd get different syndicated cartoons. So like the Herculoid syndicated package wasn't around me here in the New York City area until like I think maybe the late 70s, early 80s. Because I remember it was when I wasn't watching many cartoons anymore. It
Yeah,
came around. I was like, oh, this one's not bad.
I'm pretty sure I was watching it in the 70s and the 80s because there was this whole
Yeah.
Hanna-Barbera superhero block that was playing. So we had Space Ghost, Galaxy 3, Herculoids, because they also kind of shared the same universe.
Right, right.
So they would occasionally have like one show could have starred into the other, and once in a while you had some kind of crossover, but very
Yeah, but
few times.
that was
But
probably the
happened.
late 70s, early 80s when you saw it.
Yes. And then
'Cause
Blue
like I said, I
Falcon
think
was
that's
part
when it
of that.
appeared in our area.
Yeah.
Though it had been
Okay.
around for a decade, or
Okay,
more.
Tom Snigoski. I finally found what I remembered him from. The first Punisher Marvel Knights miniseries, the one where he's turned into an angel.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he also did one of the BPRD series. So which is where he worked with Mignola.
Oh, okay.
BPRD. A book I got this week. I got it at my LCS too. Haven't read this one yet, but I picked up Guilt Frame by Matt Kint, and his mother, I think, was on it too. What's her? Margie Kraft Kint. And this was one that I didn't want to be a sucker on. It came out last year from Dark Horse, but like the retail price on this is $30 US for the hardcover, and it came out because I usually buy all of Matt Kint's stuff. I especially like when he draws it himself rather than just writes for other people. I enjoy his storytelling a lot. But this came out in 3 $10 issues. And there were these square bound comics that came out. And like I said, I usually buy Matt Kint's stuff. He's like an automatic buy for me. And I was like, 3 square. I'm like, that sounds to me like it's not even, because he's done stuff like Mind Management. That was like 30 issues or whatever it was, month to month stuff. It was like, that sounds to me like it's supposed to be a graphic novel and not a comic book. There's only 3 issues of it coming. And I'm like, 3 $10 issues. That's $30 for 3. And I'm not a big fan of the square bound comic book format. So I noticed that a lot of times, even before they're announced in like the comic press, if you go on like Amazon and look for like Matt Kint Guilt Frame, even before the first issue's out, you can see that when the collected edition is coming out. Which I think it said January originally, or maybe February. But and I saw there was a hardcover edition coming out for $30. I'm like, you know what? I am not buying the issues. I'm just not. I don't want to be the sucker who spends $10 an issue on a format he doesn't even like. I'll wait till it's all in one collected edition. So that's what I did and usually that means I never order it. That happens sometimes. But with this one, I actually ordered it, and I haven't read it yet. A classic whodunit murder mystery that spans the globe from Paris to Hawaii to Montenegro in an attempt to keep up with the most unlikely murder-solving duo in the history of murder solvers. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to be the asshole on this one and let all the people who are buying the issues subsidize my price. So that's why I ended up getting this one this week. It came in. And got it for 10% off. So that's usually what I get stuff for. So it's $27, not $30. Which is what the issues still would have been, but you know, I'm just like $10 an issue for a format I don't like. If it was an ongoing series, hey, I'm there for that. But when you're putting them out in individual issues for what seems like no reason, even I'm like,
Right. You know, even when they came out with there was a time I figured out that even when they came out as a prestige format miniseries, if it was 3 issues, it was going to get collected. So might as well wait.
Right.
2 issues might not be because it was only 96 pages, so they wouldn't do a trade. But 3 issues, 144, that's a trade.
Yeah. No, like I said, and I've never been a fan of the prestige format just because the books don't open up flat. I prefer my comics with staples in them so that they open up flat and I can see the whole comic across the way. So, you know, which is, you know, a problem with trades, especially, is sometimes they just don't open up flat enough for me. But, you know, it's a trade-off. You get the whole thing as one story is the trade-off.
Another book that I picked up off the shelf is Justice League, or it's actually Brave and the Bold, issue number 30.
Aha! I got that one too.
The facsimile edition.
Which,
just because I saw it on the shelf and it looks really cool.
I thought I was like, is this the first appearance of the Justice League? And somebody on my poll list went, no, that's the first appearance of Amazo. I'm like, they tricked me into caring about Amazo? So this is the first appearance of Amazo.
I also think you might have been watching your video where I thought this was also the first appearance of the Justice League, which I thought, okay, maybe I missed an issue. Maybe I thought it was the one with Starro on the cover was the first time.
Right. It's another Brave and Bold.
Right, but I thought, okay, maybe this one is the first one, and then the next one was Starro.
Nope,
but I did not realize that. Well, that's fine. I really do like this artwork from this time period.
Mike Sikowski. Well, I have to say the writing at the beginning especially was terrible.
Was it?
I was reading it today going, oh my God. If you maybe the first 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 4 pages, every time one of those yellow captions, they're describing what's going on in the panel.
Oh, that's
so
fantastic.
It's like at high noon, a human comet streaks across the streets of Central City. And of course, there's you're like, all right, Flash is running across. I get it. Then it's like the amazing flash speed of Flash enables him to run straight up the side of the building. It's like, yeah, we can see that. He's running straight up the side of a building. And it's like, then with shocking suddenness, his super speed deserts the Flash's mana line and he plummets towards the ground 50 stories below. If I hit the ground so hard, I'll be done for. It's like, yeah, we can see that. It's what's happening in the panel.
Did they
in
get
the first
paid
4
by the
pages,
word?
they just describe what's happening. And I was like, stop it. No wonder people don't like it.
Remember that Gardner Fox was a pulp, wrote for the pulps before he wrote comics. And in pulps you get paid by the word. But
that's what I'm wondering. Did he think he was getting paid by the word?
Probably. With Julie Schwartz didn't tell him.
The green beams of his power ring stab downward, forming green rails for the mighty locomotive and cars of the Cannonball Express. Yeah, we can see that. They drew it. I was just like, come on. Here I am getting frustrated with a comic from the 1960s.
Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern of Earth, who we know is the Green Lantern because he has a lantern on his chest, uses his Green Lantern power ring to fashion a green boxing glove to punch his opponent.
It's just so zany.
Zany is a good word for it. I also like this science fact in the back about bees. So was just
All
something
bees
made up, or
sting.
did
Work
they?
a clean drone.
Thank you, Julie Schwartz.
A fair sky is a cloudless sky. They give us all sorts of science facts.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if I have to put up with Silver Age DC, I'm going to get a whiskey.
Don't forget to use your $1 coupon at the Amusement Palisades Amusement Park.
Palisades Park, New Jersey. I think I was there once.
Yeah. Free admission for a child. It's worth $1. We cut it out of your comic book.
There we go. And I like that. One of the reasons I picked this up, it was only $4. DC's been putting out a lot of their Golden Age facsimiles, and they're like $7, $8. And I'm just like, I don't care that much.
Yeah, no.
So this one was only $4. I was like, oh, they got me with that price. I'll give it a look.
But if they do any Golden Age facsimiles with the Spectre, you know you're in for a very gruesome experience.
See, just give me the year and the city or Planet of the Universe. After that, regarding text panels, I'm all good. You're right, Tommy. You don't need to describe what's going on in the panel. July, number 30, approved by the comic. So how many issues of JLA were in The Brave and the Bold?
3.
3? Were they in a row or?
Yes, 28 to 30.
I wonder if they did 29. Because they must have done 28. I may have even gotten it. I don't know.
Yeah, 28 is the one where they get the origin. When the one where they get turned to trees was already in the main series. I remember that because Magic Lasso just did a video with John's Comics with kids, where they compared JLA number 9 to Avengers number 9. Yeah. Okay. No context. No context. It's Avengers all the way. Sorry.
A star-studded spectacular. The case of the stolen superpower. That's a nice, some nice lettering in that too.
Yeah.
I forget who their letterer was at the time. Was it Erwin Shift? Can't remember. I'll have to check Todd Klein's blog, but very nice lettering on that one.
So when they went to become Justice League of America, did that run as their own books, or did they just rename a book?
No, they kept Brave and the Bold going, so they started with number 1 with JLA.
Yeah, Brave and the Bold was an anthology to try out new characters.
Right. It turned into a Batman team-up book in the 70s when I was a kid.
Even before, even by the late 60s, I think it already was.
Yeah. I used to, that's one of the few DC books I used to occasionally get because it had Jim Aparo artwork.
Right.
So that kept me interested, even if I thought the stories were pretty corny. They were kind of less corny than a lot of the other DC stuff in the 70s, but all right. I just noticed on this cover, everybody's like fighting back except for the Green Lantern. He's like passing out.
He's in a yellow container.
That must be it. It's especially affecting him.
Oh, and I guess it's because he was the first one to get drained.
Yes.
If you're going by, because they're draining Flash now. So.
Right. Look at that
And
storytelling.
Amazo has a
Spoiler cover.
Dicko kind of a feel to it too. Amazo himself. The rest of
Oh
it
yeah,
isn't, but
I see what you
Amazo,
mean.
he has this Dicko-ish kind of a look to him.
Mike Sikowski. When did Mike Sikowski start drawing comics, Paolo?
1942, I guess. He
So
worked
he's
in
been around for
the
almost 20 years by this point.
yeah, he worked in the Timely Bullpen. When he did the Funny
Okay.
Animals.
Oh, that's right. Okay. He worked for a long. I just resaw somewhere on Facebook that famous Timely Bullpen picture of them all dressed up at dinner. You know which one I'm talking about? I've seen it before.
I think I know which. Yeah.
And it has something to do with them going to a movie premiere or something. I don't know, but there's just like I think Mike Sikowski's in that picture, and so is Stanley. It's about 20 guys sitting around a big dinner table, all in suits and ties. A world that's disappeared. More to love with 10% off eBay refurbished. All right. They're sending me refurbished stuff. Wonder if my comic books are refurbished. You know what I was just seeing too? Once again on social media, something was making the rounds. Have you ever seen when people restore a poster?
Yes.
Because somebody was professionally restored. This Steve Ditko Spider-Man poster from the 60s. And I was just like, I wonder if in the future with less money, because it's like comic books. In the 70s and 80s, restoring your comic book was the thing to do. That's why all these, CGC slabs have restored on so many of them, because that's what you did. I remember reading the Overstreet Guide in like the early 80s, and there was like advertisements for comic book restoration in it all the time. But now a comic book is worth less money if it's been restored. I'm like, I wonder if sometime in the future people will pay less money for a restored poster. Do poster people care if it's restored? Because I've seen, that's not the first time I've seen restoring posters.
From what I
usually
understand,
movie poster. Do movie poster people care if it's restored or not?
I'm not sure. It's one of those things where I've seen a few things over the years where it depends on the restoration itself. If it's a restoration that's removable, meaning taking out blemishes, cleaning it, because there are ways to clean those posters. So if you're not adding anything to it, there's one group of people that is fine. You're removing stuff from it. You're cleaning it. Very similar to comic book people doing like cleaning and pressing, because you're not adding anything to it. You're removing. And so that's like one group, where another group is like they want that original poster and they want to protect it, and restoration is part of that. And I'm just fascinated by watching people doing, especially because that was a TikTok that I saw as well, and I think I follow that person on YouTube, where she just restores the item, but they don't give you much information on what they're actually doing to it, which to me is a little frustrating. But I think I could understand it. You don't want to give away the secrets, and again, that's their business, and who knows if there's anything proprietary to it. But I understand they clean it and they're not using water to clean it. I'm not sure what they're there may be alcohol or some sort of chemical that doesn't damage the paper, but cleans the process, and it's fascinating to watch.
Yes.
And I did see that the Steve Ditko one come in. I've watched that person put something together on TikTok, and then eventually you could watch the whole video on YouTube because I saw a Star Wars one where they found a poster, a movie poster from a theater, and those are a little larger. There's not that many of them, and I'm fascinated to watch it restored. But at the same time, it's like, oh, they're going in with colored pencils and they're putting art on
Right.
it. So is that part of the restoration to that's additive? So is that
But
saving? I
that's how
don't
they
know
restore actual old fine art paintings too.
right, because
It's
I've
like they'll
watched them,
replace
remove.
paint. You can take it off generally, but they'll replace paint chips and stuff. So it's
Right.
weird. You're reminding me. I actually did once have a discussion on Facebook, um, with somebody about like cleaning and pressing a comic book, and he compared it to washing a car. He's like, you don't say washing a car is restoring it, and I was like, that's okay, but I want that noted by CGC. It's like if you think it's just like washing a car, let me know on the CGC label that it has been pressed and cleaned. It's like because if you don't want to note it, then you think there's something wrong with it.
Right.
You think it'll be
Restoration
less
should
worth
be
less money.
restoration should be it's missing a piece of a corner of a page, and you somehow put the page back together. That would be
No,
restoration.
to me, restoration is it came out in this form, it is now in this form. Anything you do to get it back to that original form, it literally means to restore it. Now,
Right.
there's undetectable restoration and there's detectable restoration. That's the difference, I think.
Okay.
People, undetectable restoration, people keep mum about and it's all okay. Detectable restoration, people might not want. So that's why I'm like, maybe washing a car is restoring it in a way, but nobody cares. But with a comic book, I want to know if I were to buy a CGC, if I were an expensive CGC comic, and I actually cared, I would want it noted if it's been pressed, just to know.
Well, with a car, it's not the same thing, but it's more like authenticity. If you have a car from 1964, you have to use the exact parts from 1964. Because if you use
You're
parts
right.
from a 1965 car, now it's fake.
Right, everything's got its different stuff. Like I said, I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
it's comparable to say cleaning a comic is like washing a car,
Mhm.
just because it's so much more involved to clean a comic.
For example,
And nobody does.
if you put 65 blinkers on a 64 car, that's bad
Right.
restoration. If you replace the
Yeah.
staples on a comic with new staples, it's undetectable restoration.
Right.
Yeah, it's just one of those weird things that people have preferences with. To
Yeah.
me, it's like if you're not adding anything to it, I don't know if I would say that's restoration. If you're removing, then yeah, it's still at that point
But
it's just
what I'm
wordplay
saying
that
is,
is still
even if you don't count it as restoration, I want it noted.
okay.
And if you think it's so insignificant, and by you I mean anyone, and if you think it's so insignificant and not restoration, why won't you note it? Why won't somebody note that this comic book has been pressed? To me, if it's such an insignificant thing that the comic book has been pressed, why are you keeping it a secret?
Right.
That that makes me go, I think you think, once again, the royal you, it's
Right. No, I
going to
understand
be
what you're
less valuable if people know it's pressed. That's why you don't want to tell anyone.
now it's been a while since I've seen the checklist that CGC has. Is there
Mhm.
a section where you can put that you have cleaned and pressed it?
No, They don't no matter they do cleaning and pressing now, and there's no notation of it on the CGC label.
Okay.
I'm saying I would like a notation of it on the CGC label if I was serious about buying CGC books. And the only reason I would want that notation is to know everything that's been done to this book. I
Right.
think I deserve to know that. But I don't think people will put that on there because I think people will think they'll get less money. Because there's always also people who want to crack it, press it, and get it a higher grade.
Right.
And if and it's already been noted that it's cleaned and pressed, that person might not buy it. So I think that's one of the reasons they don't want to note it. Is just because, you know, we can sell cleaning and pressing on this book again.
Right.
Because some people do that as a matter of course now when they send in their books to CGC. They're like, may as well clean it and press it.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, are they doing it to protect it? I mean, going back to like the posters,
Right, the
where
posters.
it's like, or will, to me, it's like with the posters, yeah, I would like to know that it was restored.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would offer a price different or anything like that. I have posters that I wouldn't mind looking better.
I think they
Originals.
in like posters they count the whole process as restoration, as far as I can
Right.
tell.
Okay.
Even if they're not adding anything, they're just cleaning it and mounting on linen. They're counting that whole process as restoration. I don't think that takes away from the price. It might even add to the price, like it used to do for comics.
Right.
The comic looked better. Let's see. Eric P says, I think most of those $7 and $8 facsimile editions are twice the size of a. Yeah, those Golden Age ones are. But that's what, I'm just not interested enough in DC Golden Age to pay $7 or $8 for a facsimile edition. There's just not enough good stuff in there for me, which
Right.
is why I've been
And
passing on them.
even if it's twice the size, they are not paying that much money to get that made.
No, it's not costing them twice the price to get made.
Exactly.
Tiny says, I'm not a collector like that. I'm using my Amazing Spider-Man number 250 as a coffee cup coaster right now.
That's
maybe you should try using, something else. 62
well, exactly.
Lefty Blues. I think
if there is a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man number 52, that comic is newer, so it looks better. Use the old one as the cup coaster, as the coffee coaster, and use the
keep the new one looking fresh.
Yeah.
62. He makes. So I think you have to pay someone to clean it and press it before sending it in, or you pay CGC to do it. Yes, there are cleaners and pressers out there. You can pay to do it, and there are also cleaners and pressers out there who say they do a better job than CGC. So some people will buy a slabbed book, let's say a 9.2, crack it open, give it to their cleaner and presser, and send it back to CGC to hope for a 9.4 or a 9.6. To improve the grade, right? All cleaning and pressing is to try and improve the grade. But there are people who do that, who crack stuff open, clean it and press it, and hope to go from a 9.2 to a 9.6. Because that can be a lot of money on these high-end books. Oof.
Allegedly. Because lately I've been watching videos where people are saying, I just bought this 9.8 book. I don't know why I did that. I was on eBay one night and I bought this book. I have no idea what he got it in the mail. Ones. Yeah, he got it in the mail. This was from an 80s book.
Oh, from an 80s book even.
Yeah,
wow.
So it was the first appearance of He-Man as a comic book. That was a DC book, which is a
DC Comics
Superman.
present.
Right, so Superman crosses over with He-Man, kind of a thing. And the other book was Thundercats #1, the Star Comics from Marvel.
Okay.
But he says he has no real nostalgia to those two particular books, but he saw them and he had to have them. And other people are saying
Wow.
you had to have it because it said 9.8 on it. That's the only
Yep.
reason that night when you looked at it, you have to have it. And there are
Got
more
excited
people
about that 9.8.
I've been watching, and this is like 3 or 4 people watching, talking about how they have this book, and I think they're realizing they can't read it and they don't know what to do with it. But I think the pendulum for the slab books are going the other way, where people, the people who want to buy these books and owns them, most of those people I think have it.
Yeah.
And I think the problem also is people were slabbing brand new books on the idea that those books are going to be worth something, but it's
Right.
like the numbers aren't really matching. They're not printing in the millions like they did in the 90s, but there's those books people are getting slabbing, and I don't think anyone's reading them. So who knows if they're actually any good?
Because
And
if you get a brand new book and it's a 9.6, nobody wants it.
right, so now you have people, they only want that 9.8 or
Yeah.
that 9.9 or the unicorn of the 10. That's
That
once
nobody,
or twice pops up,
those,
and it's like amazing.
those are white whales. You got to chase after
Right.
those.
Completely. And it's like, all right, so now you have stacks and stacks of plastics. And you have to get their own box to
Yep.
put them in. You can't even, like, if you were able to scan a barcode and be able to read the comic book, I think that would be something. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's what's coming next when people realize I don't want these anymore. And I've been looking at prices of comic books today at Midtown when I was there. You look up at the wall and see what they have CGC, and you go like, oh, I had that book. I currently have that book, or what have you. It's like that looks nice, but again, at the end of the day, it's like if you have them hanging up, I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
But most people are just slabbing those away, and I have a couple of books CGC because someone,
Right.
one of them I got as a gift, another one I bought it for myself just to go, hey, I have something slabbed so I could talk about it, but I haven't looked at them at all.
I have a few slabs that I bought just for conversation pieces that I've showed on here before. I usually have
Right.
one right now. And by the way, that number thing, wanting 9.8s is real because this is the one I've had out for a while now. One of my favorite comics. It's a 7.5 hate number one. I have my own hate number one, which I had for years. But this was dirt cheap. I can't remember how much I paid for it. $35 maybe, shipped and taxed. But it's like nobody wants a 7.5. It's not worth anything. And even when I got it, I'm like, do I really want a 7.5 hate? I'm like, you know what? I want it just to hang around.
Rare non 9.8 slab comic.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. My Amazing Spider-Man that I have is a 4.5, and I'm more attracted to the fact it's a Ramita issue with the Lizard and Spider-Man on it. I'm just happy that I have that in the
Right.
collection in general. I do have it loose as well. But it was one time, it's like when I was collecting the Spider-Man books, I would decide on an issue and try to find the least expensive issue of Amazing Spider-Man. I used to have this rule that I wouldn't spend more than $20 on a back issue. Now, this is a rule going back to the 90s, of course. And so every now and then I would go through the back issues and try to, fill in those Spider-Man books. And I'm almost sure that particular one, I don't remember the issue. Maybe it's 72, maybe not. I don't recall the issue number off the top of my head right now. But, I was looking for that particular issue and I saw it slabbed and it's like, 4.5. I usually buy, 3.5 as long as the book is intact. That's the way
The
I see
old
them.
ones, you're
As
like,
long as-
whatever I can get.
Yes, it's intact. The cover's not falling off. It has all the pages. I'm happy with it. And again, just having it that color and that grade, I don't mind because there's no way I was going to. The next one up is probably 6.5. It's that huge leap, and to me, it's like I can't read it, and it looks pretty on the wall, but that's all I'm doing with it. It's like, oh, I'm paying that much for wall art. And it's like I could print something. I could print something out myself. So I get it. Collectors are going to collect. They're going to do what
Oh
they
yeah,
want.
collectors
So
need something to collect.
they need something to collect, and that's fine. I fall into that as well, where it's like, what am I willing to pay? And it's like,
Watch the-
I'm not going to do that for slab comics. But I do see that people are talking about. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these books because I think they got in it for you got a group that went in it for investing,
Yeah,
thinking
because
it's going to go somewhere, and it's not.
though I
Or
noticed
I don't know if it's going to.
inflation has hit the low end a little bit. Because what I would always do is I would look for, like, when I was buying some, just out of curiosity, I bought some CGC slab books, but I wanted the low end. I did not want, there was nothing. So I would look, I put in like CGC 9.8 and then go lowest price and see what was. And usually the lowest price was around $35 to $40 a few years ago. Now it seems to have gone up to like $40 to $45 for the lowest price. I'm like, oh, okay. But of course you're paying $40 for a $3 comic. It's not for a dollar. If it's a slabbed 9.8 and it's going for $40, that means you can find it for $4.
Yeah.
It's not a valuable comic.
But the secret would be to not advertise which comic it is. You advertise it as a 7.5 because most slab comics are 9.8s. Here's your chance to own a 7.5 comic. Which comic? Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed they do that in some of those blind boxes where they're like $100 worth of comics for $75, guaranteed $100 worth of comics, including a CGC comic, maybe even. And you get a blind box of CGC comics, and you get a 9.8 of some random Spider-Man spin-off series that's worth nothing, and a bunch of other comics. It's like that's what you do to get rid of those worthless 9.8s that you have slabbed, is you put them in a blind box grab bag sort of thing.
Yeah,
I've noticed that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, I sold a lot of books in those blind bag type of thing just to get rid of books. You sit there, you figure out the price and go, these are worth, according to this particular database, these are worth $100. These are $100 worth of books for $25. And it sells. Until eBay changes a few things where it's like you can't really do blind bags of stuff. You have to say what's in them. But before that, they sold pretty quickly, just because I have had so many loose comics,
right?
Because of getting them for free at Marvel, and I would, like I mentioned before to you, I would bring everything home, and we would find books all over the place, and so I would end up like 3 or 4 copies of the same book. And how many Superboys do I really need?
Yeah. Well, let me show you another comic I got this week.
Yep.
The Tin Can Society. This is issue 6 of 9, and this was a good issue. We're really getting into the meat of the story, and all sorts of fun things happen. This is the story of the Tin Can Society, these group of childhood friends who, stuck together all their lives, and one of them grew up to kind of be a Tony Stark kind of guy. And then in like the first issue, he was murdered, and the friends have been trying to solve his murder. And he even invented this, even though he was mostly a guy helping out handicapped people, he invented this suit of armor to become a superhero, just kind of. And so even this, and it's by, who is it? Peter Warren, Francesco Mobili, and Chris Chuckry. And it's just been a fun story. I've been enjoying it. And this issue really introduced us to a lot of new elements in the story. So all of a sudden, the plot started moving. In the first act, the plot was pretty slow moving. Now we're into the second act, and the plot is moving along quickly. So, good series. Enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Giant Generator. That means it's a Rick Remender, right? He's Giant Generator.
I'm not
because we got Rick Remender's imprint, Giant Generator. We've got Hickman's imprint. I mean, not Hickman. The Walking Dead guys. His imprint, which I can't remember the name of now, and I think we have one other name. Oh, we got Tiny Onion, which is so. There's at least 3 imprints in, and then of course the Massive Verse. That's another imprint. That's not necessarily anyone's, but that's the one that Radiant Black takes place in. So there's a few different imprints in Image these days. Huh. Want to show us another comic, Wilson?
Sure. So continuing the books off the wall, then we'll go over to the books that were in my pull list. We have a IDW book, another kaiju book, Mothra, Queen of the Monsters.
That's the one I liked the cover of. Yeah. Oh.
I can't. Yeah, I hear you trying to talk, but I don't hear you exactly, Jared.
Yeah. Can
You're
anyone else
breaking
hear
up.
me? Can you hear me, Paulo?
On and off.
Okay, let me.
I think it's your connection. Because sometimes
Might
your
be.
image becomes blurry.
Right. You're not fully.
I might have
You're in
a
camera,
bad
but you're blurry.
connection tonight.
There are the other
I might
covers.
have a bad connection tonight.
So
It's that
this
one on the left there that I liked. It was.
The one on the left?
Yeah.
That reminds me of
That's the one I like.
That reminds me of an acid jazz record from the early '80s. There was a British band called OCBisa. They had it was a flying elephant with moth wings.
Oh, okay. That's a unique image. The story is by Sophie Campbell, art is by Matt Frank and Sophie Campbell, lettered by Nick Waldick, editor Jake Williams. Matt Frank is a longtime comic book artist who was doing Godzilla images and stuff like that as a fan for years, like going back to days of what was that website everyone was posting their artwork on for so long? Deviant Art. Yeah, so he was posting images of this stuff he liked drawing, which mainly the Godzilla and the monsters and stuff like that. And that every now and then he would just come up with a image that was really cool. A few years back, there was a story about how they were thinking about, and this is Toho and Warner Brothers, way back in the 60s, of having a Godzilla Batman crossover, the Adam West Batman. And so there was an outline and things were talked about that, Godzilla was out of control. They called Batman to try to help, and there would have been a whole either a movie or something like that, but it never appeared. But Matt Frank drew what he thought a poster image would look like, and he did a great job with that. And then after that, when Godzilla kind of had this more resurgence recently, he's been doing some Godzilla work here and there. So it's pretty cool to see him doing more stuff like this. And it's a pretty cool looking book. I like the artwork on it, and I'm looking forward to reading it. The other covers I did not see. And the back cover is Godzilla versus Los Angeles. So I think Godzilla's on a new America World Tour. So
Oh yeah, and every
I
issue is a new city.
right. So the first one I think that's coming out because it was the first ad I saw last time I opened the
Chicago,
book was Chicago.
right?
So you have Chicago there. Then the back of the ad is Hollywood. So that's pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
And they changed the Hollywood sign a little bit so it looks like it says oh no, it's Hollywood's backwards, sorry. I thought they
Yeah.
might have changed the lettering to say Godzilla, like broken lettering, but it
Ah.
kind of looks like that to me. So I might be reading too much into it, or maybe it just kind of works. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that was one I almost but once again, $5 was just too much because I just liked the cover.
Oh yeah, that is a $4.99 book.
I think most of those IDW books are these days.
Yeah.
One that I got this week that I didn't like too much was Junie Ba's Monkey Meat #1, the summer batch, 1 of 5. Your face here. And
I think
it
I
was
saw
just
an
this,
ad for that.
let me show you. Let me get bigger. Hold on. I'll show you the art. The art looked pretty cool, which is what made me buy it, pre-order it. But I just found, it was funny. This first story had almost no dialogue in it. It was all told in pictures and sound effects. And I found it a little hard to follow. The storytelling wasn't particularly smooth. And then the second story had tons and tons of words in it. And I couldn't even make it through the second story. After the first story confusing me so much, I was faced with all these words and I went, I'm just not even going to read this. So when you find yourself bailing on a new comic without even finishing it, that's not a good sign.
Not at all.
This comic is an ad for the next one.
That's clever. That
Yeah.
sounds clever.
So I'm going to have to try reading the second half another time but I don't think I'm getting another issue of this one. And I've never heard of Junie Ba before. The Tasty Anthology is back, now with 2 stories per issue and games. This summer, enjoy our exotic island. Okay. That's what happens when you try out a lot of first issues. Some you don't like all of them. Mm-hmm. Now we've got the Mothra song going through my head.
A good song. Oh, and I sold a comic book this week. I sell comics on eBay, or comics and comic related stuff, and it's been a while since anything sold. And it was a surprise that I sold the big book of Little Criminals. And I don't know if you remember those DC big books. So
I
I had
remember
it on,
those.
yeah, I had them on my shelf for years, and I was moving things around. It's like, I never gone back to these. They were neat, but it was like I don't really need to keep them. I haven't read them. Let me just take them off the shelf, put them on eBay, see if they move, and surprisingly, it sold one of them. So it's like that's pretty neat. So it was like, all right, because
How long has
as
it
you
been
know,
there?
it was on there. Let's see. Will it tell me when I posted it up? All right. It only ever had 10 views.
Wow.
I get that information, and I know I put it up within probably November is when I put it up.
Ooh,
Usually these
pickle.
things will sit there for a while, but
Yeah, that's not one everybody's looking for.
no, not at all. Even when I looked it up to see, what's the average price it was going for, it was like, oh, this may sit there for a while or may never move. So it
Right.
was one of those things that, okay, let me see. It doesn't show me the date I put it up there, but I can look at the other ones, and that might actually tell me.
Huh. Let's
But it
see.
was like,
62
it was a
left.
surprise.
Yeah, 62 Lefty Blues tells us Junie Bod did Monkey Meat series 2 summers ago. I got 1 and 2 and dropped it. He just did a Robin series for DC that sold really well. Okay. I think that Robin, I think I remember hearing people talking about that Robin series, but I didn't pay that close attention to it.
Which Robin series?
One that Junie Bod did, who did that Monkey Meat comic I got.
I don't think I would have noticed. I'm not even. Is Damien still Robin?
Is Damien still Robin, did you ask? I don't know. There's like 9 Robins, aren't there?
Something like that. I think
There's
current
Robins.
history he is, but I'm not positive.
Because there's like a team of Robins. Who's hanging out with Batman? I don't know.
Yeah, everybody.
That'd be like the official Robin, I guess.
I used to have this theory when I was a kid. It wasn't that long ago, actually. I kept this theory that the Batcave, the bottom of the Batcave, in those big pits that you never see, those bottomless pits, are just littered with failed Robins. I think the ones that we see were the ones that passed the regular test.
Failed Robins. Want to show us another comic? What do you got there?
Sure. So next book I have here is Superman issue number 23, where he's fighting what looks like a thin, skinny Doomsday.
Yeah.
And
He's
if
got
I
those
remember
bones
correctly,
poking out of it.
Doomsday was warning Superman that if he dies once again, they technically come back as gods.
Oh.
And he's trying to prevent that because apparently both
Who's that
Superman and
Superwoman?
that I believe is Lois Lane.
It's Lois Lane.
Lois
Okay.
Lane has Superwoman's powers. I don't know what was going on in the series at this point, but it was something with that he's there. But she's not the only super girlish character because there were also other Supergirls in the issue. So I am not too sure what's going on in the book. But that's this is the first time I've been able to look through it. And
have you read the last few?
I have not. I read the one that talked about why they weren't allowed to fight each other was because of the possibility if they both die, they both come back as gods. Because
and that would be
comics,
a bad thing.
Apparently so. It was like I'm trying to remember what the warning was, but it's been a while. I feel like there's been a gap between the issues, so either I didn't pick one up or I just haven't read a few. So all I remember was this warning that he was given.
Did you get a box set up with all the to be read comics in it?
I have the box. I put it together. I have it on the side there, and it's completely empty. I haven't put the books in there yet.
How are you ever going to catch up on your reading?
It It's just gonna be one day. It's just nothing of reading comics, and then the whole weekend will be gone.
And I picked up Huge Detective, issue 4 from Titan Comics. This one's been fun. It picked up this. We've got the ants. This takes place in once again a weird world where maybe 10 years ago, whatever it was, all of a sudden a bunch of giants woke up all over the world who were here before us. For some reason, they were sleeping in hibernation for, I don't know, 100,000 years. And they were pissed off that all these humans, and they eat humans too. We're good for them. It ended up being a war between the humans and the giants. And the war ended when the like treaty at the end was like all the giants live in Australia and the humans live in the rest of the world. And that's like all happened before the first two. And now we got there's like a team up, but there have some mystery, like there's been missing giants, and really big, so it's been a fun, weird series. Who it's like how it's one of those series I read and go, how did this ever get green lighted? Who came up with this? The writer is Adam Rose, the artist is Magenta King. The colorists are Magenta King and Minnie Money, and the letterer is DC Hopkins. But it was just kind of like, oh, it's been a fun little series. I don't know how many issues it's supposed to go. I assume it's probably going to wrap up soon, if not next issue, in 2 issues. But it's been fun. Suggested for mature readers because there's giants eating humans in this issue. So, don't be childish about that.
That's right.
Sleepy readers here. Greetings, 3 wise men. Greetings,
Hello,
Sleepy.
reader.
I like that. That's one of those comics that's a solid B. It's not an A. I'm not telling you got to go out and get it, but it's been a solid B. And solid Bs are all right.
Yeah, it's a wacky concept, but if they're making it work,
they're making it work.
Yep.
Nobody's going to rush out and say I have to read Huge Detective, but if you run into it, it's a nice little read. Paolo's not ever going to read it.
No.
Though it's being that it's, is it easy to get Titan stuff in Portugal since they're right over in the UK?
No, those Titans come from the USA previews.
Okay.
Of course, if you flip the previews over, you have UK stuff, but Titan is in the US side.
Huh. That's weird. Because they are UK. Strange. Well, I'll show Wilson this week. I showed Paulo last week. I got a little piece of artwork from Tess Fowler.
Oh, okay.
Matter of fact, she was she did Rat Queens years ago. She usually does like licensed character sort of stuff. This is just sort of her own thing, I'm guessing. And it turns out she was like, because I found her on Blue Sky. Just happened to, I found a whole bunch of indie people in Blue Sky. She happened to be one of them. And she had this up in her store. And it turns out she's closing her store down and moving everything over to Patreon. So she's been kind of explaining what she's doing with that as I think she said she only had 4 little drawings left in her store. It's like, oh, good. She sold most. This was, I think, with shipping and tax was between $25 and $30. I forget exactly where. So nice little drawing. I like that one. I should write her name on the back because she signed the front as TFG. Whoops. But sometimes it's like I might forget years from now.
Right.
I'll write in pencil in case someone wants to erase it in the future. I'll write Tess Fowler so I know. I do that sometimes with pieces I buy that are unsigned or have a wacky signature.
Yep, it makes sense. Sometimes
Yeah.
at least you know who the art's from. I have a
Right.
piece of artwork when I was buying some stuff off of eBay years ago. I would look for some inexpensive art, but comic strip or related.
Right.
And I found one that is if I remember correctly, it had a bunch of mice on it. And I'll look it up and have it for next time. But it was just a bunch of mice on it, and the only signature on it was like a T, and then that was it. There was no real information. I just bought it because I liked it, and it was from I
Right.
think 47, or I think it was 47, but it was like a unique piece of art that was like these mice, not necessarily a Mickey Mouse type of thing or whatever, but it was
Right.
that kind of mouse from that time period. And it was just a bunch of mice on a machine type of thing. And I was like, it was unique, and I picked it up. And over the years, went looking for information, and I think, if I remember correctly, I have to check the art to see if I was smart enough to write it on the back. It was a Japanese artist that was living in
Okay.
America and did the artwork. And it was just an oddity. I was like, it's pretty cool, penciled and inks, kind of a thing that looked
Right.
like it would have been in a newspaper strip or something, or in a magazine. Back when they did a lot of those magazines would just have pieces of artwork. And for a little while, I would find pieces of art from those magazines that were like similar to the New Yorker, where there'll be a comic that didn't
Right.
have to do with anything else of the magazine. It would just be a piece of art. And over the years, I would find something like that.
I got a couple of things like that off of eBay too, about 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Some
but it's
nice,
just
you get some nice stuff that way.
oh yeah, and not too expensive either at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're, stuff that's not in big demand. So
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
a Jack Kirby piece. Have you ever bought art off of eBay, Paolo?
Nope.
No.
I don't even have an eBay account.
You don't have an eBay account. Oof.
No.
Is eBay big in Portugal or non-existent?
We have a couple of our own auction sites, which are mostly for people to sell old furniture. But I know you can find comics there.
Old furniture sites.
And massages.
So those books I put up on eBay on October 7th,
Okay.
2024. So they were up there for a little while. I mean, I have stuff that was up there since like I joined eBay, and they just don't move. I just kind of just leave it there. And occasionally I'll take stuff down and like reshuffle them, and it's like, all right, if this one book doesn't sell, let me put it together with these 3 other books and see if that would sell.
Yeah, that's the stuff I've been giving away to my students. I'm
Right.
just like, here you go, have some comics. I have so many comics here. I got to get rid of some. What did I just give away this week? I can't even remember. It was a couple of books I gave away to one student. Do you know the studio Blue Sky? I think they did Ice Age. They're like a animation studio that sometimes makes, somebody will hire. I think Ice Age was their big movie. Like in 2008, they put out like this big anthology book of comics because everybody there who does animation also likes to do comics. So it was
Right.
just people who worked at the studio, their comics, and I was like, and I bought it back in 2008, and I haven't looked at it since. So I was like, I may as well gave it to one of my students. I was like, here you go. They have more time to appreciate it than I do.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, it's like, I remember there'll be days where it'll be just nothing but reading comics. And
Yep.
it was like, because, the commute helped a lot, when there was nothing to do. It's like now I now listen to a lot of audiobooks than actually reading physical books. Because it was easier
Mhm.
reading physical books when I had to commute to just sit there and read it.
Yeah. Let's see, Titko. I also don't have an eBay account. My Amazon account has been dormant for a good 5 years. Freak off, Jeff Bezos. Timey-wimey says strictly no Amazon bozos here. I do like a bit of eBay. I've shifted over to buying a lot of stuff off of eBay rather than Amazon myself. But I did just sometimes I have to buy stuff from Amazon just because it's obscure stuff I can't get anywhere. Like I ended up archiving a bunch of my artwork today. Just put all random drawings. I started doing it a couple years ago because I used to just have it like all my art stacked up in a cabinet somewhere, but I couldn't get to it. If I ever needed to look at something, forget it. It was in a stack of papers somewhere. So a few years ago, I built a couple new shelves, and I got a bunch of those, the portfolio cases that fit 11 by 17. They're just like books
Yes.
with the with plastic paper in them. You slide 11 by 7 or whatever. And I got some 8 by 10, some 9 by 12, some 11 by 17s. And I put all my stuff in there, labeled it, and put it on a shelf. So now I can actually get to it if I need to. Well, I was just doing that with stuff from the last year, and I run out of portfolios. So I had to order them, and Amazon is the easiest place to get them from. So I got them from there. But yeah, I've been looking to eBay for more stuff these days. But when you're buying sort of obscure stuff, sometimes it's tough not to use Amazon.
Yeah. It's like, again, it's like certain art stuff. Like I've been thinking about getting a larger holder for all my markers. I
Right.
was kind of getting to the point where it's like most of my markers are alcohol-based markers, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking of just putting them in order of color instead of keeping them separate. This one set is from this company, this one set's from that company, and
Yep.
it's like, well, if they're all alcohol-based ones, let me just put them all together in a color pattern and
Right.
see if that works out better. Because there's sometimes where I'll be working with one set, and there's always that, oh, there's a color I need. I may not have it in this set. I could have something at least
Right.
close to it in another set.
That just reminds me. I got a big order in from Dick Blick a couple weeks ago. I made a haul video on YouTube about it. And whoever runs the Dick Blick social media team actually commented on my video.
Oh,
That is
okay.
the first time I have ever seen that happen on any of my art supply haul videos. That's the first time a company has commented, gave me a little bit of information on some of the supplies I bought, and said thanks for buying.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I've gotten a few thank yous for mentioning them on like TikTok, and they're
Okay.
mostly like, "Thank you for mentioning them." That's pretty much
Yeah.
it. Uh, Midtown Comics has said that, and Bags Unlimited
Ah.
had also, gave me a thumbs up for mentioning them. So it's like, all right, someone's watching, someone's listening, I guess.
That's good. Bags Unlimited. I guess you've ordered bags from there, huh?
Yeah, they tend to be when I first started selling stuff on eBay and was doing it a little more you can't do it as a hobby because you don't really sell anything. But if you concentrate on it and spend
Uh-huh.
days on doing stuff, you can actually start making some good sales. So I was buying the comic book supplies from them, bags and
Oh,
boards, and they had a sale on cardboard, just sheets of cardboard that I would cut
okay.
up, and then when I do sell comics, I sandwich them between the cardboards, and then I have these mailers that I get directly from eBay as well, because you get a coupon from eBay and save money that way. So so it has all the eBay labelings on it and stuff like that. So I would use the cardboard to sandwich the comic books, and then put them on into this like very strong cardboard mailers, and then I can mail it out, and they're pretty thin, pretty inexpensive. You know, for $4, you get pretty good coverage for shipping. For $4, you get very good coverage of your comic book. So they were having a sale on this cardboard, and where it was like, again, upside downside, it was that I was able to buy a large amount of it for little money because I would have to cut the cardboard myself. Because you can either buy
Right.
it already cut for comic book size, or you get it the regular size and cut it yourself. And it's fine until you're cutting a whole lot of these. And I was able to order so much as I have yet to actually reorder new cardboard, and I've had it for probably 5 years, if not a little more, because they came in two big shipments. So one box got put into storage for at least 3 years, and the first box, it took about 3 years to empty that box out, and now I'm just down to the little bit that's left. But again, it was one of those things that I was able to buy it in bulk from Bads Unlimited, and because I was buying it in such a big bulk, that it turned out to be pretty good. So, and also at the time I was selling so many, the cards, the Star Wars cards, the individual cards, because I would get them from Tops, open them up, and kind of make sets, and then you just have so much left over. I just started selling those for a couple of bucks, but I needed to put them into penny sleeves and then put them into the quarter sleeves and stuff like that. And so I ended up buying those again. You're paying pennies for them if you buy them in bulk, and they turned out to be the best price of it, because after a certain price, also the shipping's free. And they have,
Right.
at that time when I was ordering it, they had offices in both Florida, or warehouses in both Florida and I think New York. And so they also had regional offices to make the shipping a lot less expensive. So anytime I had gotten bulk supplies, it would be them.
Cutting your own cardboard just reminded me. In my Blick order, I ordered some of these are done on 5x7 pieces of watercolor paper. So these are like pre-cut 5x7 pieces of watercolor paper. The marker ones are done on Bristol. I cut my own Bristol. And just this, and I haven't used a ton of this 5x7 watercolor paper. I bought it sort of to try it out, like maybe 10 years ago. Comes in a pack of 25. I think it's Strathmore. 25 sheets of 5x7 watercolor paper. Just this last order, I was also buying. I saw this new brand of watercolor paper that came in 12x18 sheets. A little bit bigger than 11x17, standard size. I was like, oh, let me try that paper out. I think it was 30 sheets of the 12x18. And I'm pretty sure I meant to buy 2 packs of the 5x7 and 1 pack of the 12 by 18. But I was looking at after, I got the order email in that my order went through. I said, how come it's got 2 of the 12 by 18s there? Now, meanwhile, the 25 5x7s, $13. Not cheap paper. 25 sheets of 5x7. The 30 sheets of 12 by 18, $16. So it's like, maybe it was then I did the math on the geometry and went, you know what? For $16, if I cut it myself, I'd get 180 sheets of 5x7 paper. I'm like, maybe it's a good thing I meshed those 2 up, because there's no reason not to cut it myself.
Exactly. And that's what, when I did the math, it was like, if I just buy it and cut it myself, it's dramatically a lot less.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, let me do it that way and just cut it myself. And it's the good and the bad, because in the sense of like, I saved a ton of money, but
it's work.
I'm also cutting. I'm doing the work. So I can see why some people would go, well, I save time if I pay a little more. So you have to balance it out.
Yep. Which do you have more of at this moment, time or money?
Right.
This Timey says, when eBay listed independent bookstores include a thank you note, it's so sweet. Yeah, it is. Matter of fact, as I was cleaning out my because I've got 2. Right now I have my laptop on top of my drawing table. Underneath my drawing table, I wish I could find these again. They don't sell them. I have 2 drawers. I put 2 drawers so that slide right out like this. You can hear them. And that's where I put, like, I'm done with a little drawing of 6x9. I put it in this drawer, and I had just cleaned out this drawer, and in it I found a bunch of thank you notes, which I think came from various eBay buyers I bought from. Sometimes these little cards come with thank you notes. Sometimes the books come with thank you notes. Thank you for your support.
Yep.
And I was just like, I don't want to throw out the thank you notes. I just kind of threw them in this drawer. So I ran into them today. Oh, there's another one. Thank you.
It is funny, depending on the store that I buy it from. So from eBay, I don't get as many thank you notes as I used to. So eBay, I whatever I buy, I get. But when I'm getting something from Macari and more so Poshmark, Poshmark seems to be more that thank you for buying from us, and they would include stickers. They would sometimes they'll include a thank you note, usually a handwritten note type of thing. I include a car. I used to do handwritten notes. Then I was selling a lot, so it got to be much. So then I started including a card that was like a generic thank you card. And if I had time, I would do a quick drawing on the back of the card. But the card would have like my other social medias, a direct, if there are any problems, contact me type of thing. Never heard anything from anybody. I don't know if they ever bothered to check my other social media. I don't think I ever got new followers from it, but I've had to have at least sent out probably 300 or 400 cards over the years. And I didn't pay much for the cards, if anything, because I got them at Vista Print, when you could get 500 cards for $10. One side has text, the other side I would leave it blank, and that's why I would do the sketch and stuff like that on it. So it was like, but I don't know if people are keeping them, tossing them, or even acknowledging they got something. So it's pretty funny, because you just never know if anyone reacts to it at all.
Yep.
But I tend to, like, when they're handwritten notes, I tend to keep them, because it's like, oh, this is nice.
And the latest Usagi Yojimbo series is here. This is 10,000 Plums, part 1 of 5, or legacy number 280. So he's closing in on 300 issues. Take your hand off your swords. Who are you? What's there to say about Usagi Yojimbo? It's always an A. This is the start of a new story, and the story is kind of it starts with 5 weeks ago. These two foxes, and there's a mama fox and a little child fox, and then the fox transforms itself into this old woman beggar. And the old woman beggar goes into this town to beg for some food for her child who's starving. And of course, nobody gives her food. And then weeks later, some monster is haunting this town, who we assume is going to be the foxes, but we really don't know. And Usagi and his cousin stumble onto what's going on in this town. Oh, and it's called 10,000 Plums because the town is famous for its plum trees, and the Shogun loves the medicinal value of these plums. So it's a bit of a famous town. So but Usagi is always good. But if you ever wanted to check out Usagi, here's the first issue of A New Stories. Eric P., I really liked Usagi, 10,000 Plums, #1. Yeah, it was a very good first issue. Oh, and in the back, we get a little process stuff. We get to see Stan Sakai's notebook where he wrote the story.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of fun.
I need to pick that up.
Story outlines. Fun to see the process going on. Gene, fatigue. Then let's stop here. I could eat an entire bowl of umiyashi. That's the stuff you make in the plum. But glad Usagi's back after a brief respite. Good to see. What do you got for us, Wilson?
I have the next issue of Thundercats, issue number 13. So the complete year of books I haven't read.
A year and a month.
A year
How
and a
could you
month.
have not read any of them?
I read the first 3, I believe, because I remember I told you I did not like the designs on some of the characters, especially Tigra. Oh, this is. Oh, okay. I got mixed up here for a second because I saw a character that was in another book, so it looks like they're including a preview of that other book in here. So I got a little confused. I thought they might have had that character cross into it, but that's a character that takes place in a possible future. Couldn't even tell you what's in the storyline because I have yet to come across a Thundercat. Looks like they're focusing on another a side character. But Dynamite Entertainment, this is the cover I guess they chose for me.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see who the creative team is. Drew Moss is the artist. Deacon Chalavey is the writer. I do not like this font for the names. Martha Pendegal. See that the way this font is. It is a.
Oh yeah.
It's a weird kind of like computer.
Not a lot of letter spacing in there.
Right.
Eccleberry, Perillo.
Cosby is the editor. There's a character that looks like one of from maybe the Snarf species, and so it looks like the story is based on that character. I know in the cartoon, Snarf had a nephew that popped up, so I don't know if it's supposed to be reintroducing that particular character. And B,
for some reason, as you were showing me that, it popped into my head. My LCS this week. One of the regulars was there. I was talking to. Like I said, he's a regular. And he was looking for Batgirl number 5, the latest issue. And he was like, Batgirl number 5, you got it? They're like, no, I think we're he's like, no, I think we're sold out. He's like, I've been buying the first 4 issues. I wanted to get number 5. To which everybody was like, 4 issues and you want number 5 and you haven't put it on your pull list yet? How many extra issues of Batgirl number 5 do you think we're getting here? It's like, yeah, I know, but it's like, he knows better. Because you can pull them off the shelf for, like I said, the first 4 issues, he was able to pull it off the shelf. But there comes to a point where
if you're actually enjoying it, why not?
Put it on your pull list because you're not going to find shelf issues. They don't exist. Shelf issues. Bunny. I'm amazed at how brightly the colors turned out on this compared to the first time I did it.
It's a big night and day difference with that pink in the back compared to the actual.
It's like in this one, and the first one, you can't even tell the difference just about between the skin tone and the pink in the back.
Right.
It's like it hardly makes a difference. Oh, where is? Oh, and one thing I did to it. Oh, I thought I printed it out like that. Is there? I must have another printout here somewhere. Because I did one of the things that's amazing. They printed it so cheaply that they didn't bother to make the balloons white. Like the balloons are the background color. So when I print, like I fixed that for this one just because I liked it better. It looks better with the balloons white. And I thought I printed it out. I must have another version. This is an earlier. I printed it out after this too, where I made the balloons white, but I don't know where that one went. Ooh, I might have cleaned it up into the recycling with all my cleaning. I'll have to print out another copy of it. I meant to recycle this one, but I recycled the other one. Whoops. or is it on the back? Is this double-sided? Duh. This is double-sided paper. So there's the one with the white balloons, and there's the one without the white balloons. The authentic one, but I like the restored one.
Restored with proper balloons.
Restored with proper balloons, not background color balloons.
Let's see some balloons.
And it's a restoration now.
Yep. Restored.
Those blinkers aren't original to that model year.
I did not even... There's a pelican in the background saying, there's a nice beak to that music. And I'm telling you, I never even read that when it was like that. It's like I remember I read these front ones, but for some reason I didn't even notice that pelican balloon.
Completely missed that pun.
A nice beak to the music. Hardy, hardy, har, har. So funny, I forgot to laugh.
An attempt at doing Stan Lee humor.
See, the last comic I got this week was Uncanny Valley number 8. This is the one where the kid finds out he's part cartoon. His mother's part cartoon and he's part cartoon. And he's got now some special value to the cartoon. And we can't see the cartoon world. Sometimes kids can, but grown-ups can't see the cartoon. Even when they show up in our world, we can't see them. So in this issue, the first story arc was him discovering that and being chased by the bad cartoons. And in this issue, he looks like a cartoon because he's fallen into the cartoon world. And he runs into these cartoon animals. And he eventually starts fighting with, what do they call these? Sprites, who are obviously Smurfs. And there was even the first sprite he ran into was obviously Smurfette, because she left the sprite village because she was the only one of her kind, so she didn't fit in. So she's like, I'm trying to live here out on my own. So obviously, all the other sprites are male, just like in the Smurfs. But he runs into some ogres too. So this has been a good series. Tony Fleece and Dave Watcher. Tony Fleece is writing it. Dave Watcher is drawing it. Who else is in here? Pat Brosseau is the letterer. But yeah, another good issue. Another good. This was one I'm amazed it's at issue 8. I wasn't sure if this was going past the first story arc or not. But it has. In Boom Studios / Penguin Books. Got another one to show us, Wilson?
Yes, I do. So we have an issue of Amazing Spider-Man number 68, whose cover I really like. I get a John Romita Sr. kind of feel of it design-wise.
Yeah, see what you mean. That looming Spider-Man reminds me of like the campus issue or something.
Yes. That's the vibe I get from it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
With the spider sense going off. And who's doing that one?
This issue is written by Crisco Gage, sorry. Mark Buckingham.
Okay.
Is doing the art, and Matala Icona is the colorist, and Joe Caramanga is the letterer.
Mm-hmm.
Here's that. Open up with a 2-page spread.
All right. Juggernaut.
Because, here are all the X-Men in a Spider-Man book. But I guess it's fair, because it was a great Spider-Man story that was in the X-Men comics. And John Romita Jr. and you had that Conan villain basically changes the world for his revenge on Spider-Man. The only reason why I bought that X-Men book for the first time.
Which is the book that made me stop buying the X-Men.
So some wild stuff going on in this X-Men Spider-Man book. Because I have yet to see Spider-Man in the actual story.
Juggernaut's been a regular in the X-Men books now for a long time, right?
Pretty much, yeah. He's been he's been a member.
Right.
Going back to when they did that Kratoa, what is the name of the island?
Krakatoa or something?
Krakatoa?
Krakoa,
that's it.
Krakoa. Okay, I couldn't remember the name. Where that was only a sanctuary just for mutants, and then they were like, send him in. He's Chuck's brother. Why not?
Let's see what's coming up from Image in the monthly catalog. And this actually tells you how many issues something's running too.
Really? That's a good thing.
Blood and Thunder. Bounty Hunter. What is this by? A story by Benito Sereno. I don't know that at all. I don't know any of these Blood and Thunder people. Launch of the month. The Curse of Shirley Johnson. I don't know that one either. Daniel Enriquez. Art, Jonathan Glapian. Oh, this is a Spawn one. Double sized first. Okay. So, Whatever happened to Shirley Johnson, the 7-year-old victim of infamous serial killer Billy Kincaid? Explores the fate of an innocent young girl. I guess she was killed in some issue of Spawn. I don't know.
Billy
Now
Kincaid was a serial killer that Spawn killed around issue number 5 or something.
Okay, so it was early on. I thought it must have
yeah.
been. Retailers, if you order 10 copies of any cover, you will unlock the ability to purchase unlimited copies of a new printing of Spawn number 5, which is Shirley Johnson's first appearance. There you go. I guess they're doing a facsimile if you order 10 of number 1. And here's another James Tynion one coming out, Exquisite Corpses. Oh, with Michael Walsh on art and Jordi Belday. I'll be buying this one. And there's a polybagged Michael Walsh cover. Wonder why. I like Michael Walsh's art a lot. I've been buying a lot of James Tynion stuff, so I'll check out Exquisite Corpses, which without the S on it is a surrealist game. Exquisite Corpse. What do we got here? Something like 12 wealthiest families in America play a game. 12 of the deadliest people in the world are dropped into a small town with just one goal. Last killer standing wins. For the citizens of Oak Valley, Maine, this year's unlucky arena, the goal is much simpler. They must survive the night. You know, that's probably not easy to do. I imagine there's a lot of guns in Oak Valley, Maine. So if you were to drop 12 killers in there, I'm guessing a whole town full of people with guns will have a better chance than most of the killers.
Probably.
I mean, if this was the real world.
Yeah.
You drop 12 killers in a random U.S. town. There's probably enough people with guns in that town to make things really hard for the killers.
Especially because in the small town, they stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you drop 12 killers into a small town, they're going to notice them.
Says nothing happens.
12.
Somebody dies. Must be the new guy.
Who are those guys with swords and guns running around? I'm not sure. Let's get our guns. I don't know if you want to pick a small town. You know, if you drop them even like into a small city like White Plains, New York, they probably won't stand down. The Cold Witch, A Tale of the Shrouded College. I have never read any Shrouded College comics. That's not the first time I've seen that name, but who does this one? It's Charles Soule. It's one of his. The Next Tale of the Shrouded College. Must be a wizard school. If it's shrouded, why would it be anything but a wizard school?
Yeah.
Dark Honor, number 1 of 5. No idea what that is. Ethan Sachs, K.S. Bruce, and Brian DeCobelis. Crime, mystery, dark fantasy, action, and adventure. No idea. An underworld story, I guess. Free Planet, no. Story, Aubrey Citizen. Jed Doherty is the artist. Superhero action, adventure, and epic. Once again, no clue. I don't think I've... Oh, look. Now I finally something a name I recognize. Xander Cannon. Sleep number 1 of 8. Xander Cannon did Kaiju Max.
Yes. And top 10 for Alan Moore.
And top 10 for Alan Moore. Definitely going to pick this one up. When Jonathan Reason falls asleep, he becomes something else. Every night it stalks his quiet town, killing seemingly indiscriminately. When he wakes, covered in blood, our story begins. The new horror mystery from Xander Cannon shows us the horrifying waking hours of an unwilling part-time killer. That's definitely going on the old pull list because I liked Kaiju Max a lot, so I'll pick up some more Xander Cannon. What didn't he like? He was one of those guys like I didn't realize. What did you just say he did? Top 10. Yep. He never got on my radar into Kaiju Max, so it's like I didn't realize he was around for so long. Didn't he also do some Valiant stuff? Was it?
If he did, I don't know.
I just remember he's been around a lot longer than I knew.
Yeah, I only know him from Kaiju Max.
He had a comic in the when Jim Lee left Image and Jim Valentino became president. He had a title which was part of the new indie direction that Image was taking.
Okay.
Replacement God, was that it?
Yeah, I remember that name. I never read it though. Here's an interesting thing I might get, but the $25 price tag is Deadly Class Giant Size Artist Proof Edition. I don't think I've ever gotten one. I've always meant to be. These are like they're 11 by 17 and in black and white. And this is issues 1 and 2 of Deadly Class. So I think I might get this one when I see it come up for final order cutoff. Like I said, I've always meant to get one of these artist proof editions. I just never have. Have you ever seen them before?
I have not.
Yeah. Image usually does them, but I've seen them from other indie publishers. Forget the ones. Rob Farmhand number 20. This is Rob Guillory's Farmhand. I didn't realize this was still going.
Well, it says on it returns for its pulse pounding final arc, so it might have taken a.
So it may have been missing for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some more Adventure Man, which I bought the first volume of that and kind of enjoyed it. Then I bought the third volume and didn't like it. Oh, and here's one I haven't seen. Oh, I think I'm. Oh, well, this was one I didn't realize was Bitter Root. This is the next movement, 3 of 5. I think I just put issue 1 on pre-order. It's coming in my 20. It's one of the first issues in my 21 comics week, and I think I've put the whole thing. I guess it's 5 issues because I jumped on in the middle of Bitter Root Volume 1. I think it was maybe a 20-issue series. I can't even remember. But Sanford Green is the artist on it, and I liked his art a lot. So that's one I'll be picking up, Bitter Root. Sordid Crisis Events, number 3. Black Ritual, The Book of Nyx, number 2. A Spawn one. Don't know either of those. Bug Wars, number 4 of 6. That was the one that I bought the first issue of, and that was enough for me. Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, number 7. Once again, I bought the first issue of that, and that was enough for me. Oh, Kevin Eastman's book, Drawing Blood, number 11 of 12, is coming out. Did you buy that, Wilson?
No.
Okay, I vaguely remember. Maybe it was someone else I saw. It's sort of so Kevin Eastman, but I think it's like part autobiographical and part completely made up. Oh, here's something for an Energon Universe Special 2025 one shot. That's something for Wilson's list.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a new printing of the Energon Universe Free Comic Book Day 2025 special.
Ah, okay.
So if you miss
32
it on
page?
Free Comic Book Day,
Yep.
you can pay $4 for it. Barrel number 13 I'm getting. G.I. Joe number 7. Geiger 14. Real American Hero 316. Golden Rage, Mother Knows Best. I don't know that one at all.
I don't either.
Chrissy Williams story. Lauren Knight art. The Hive number 4. Hornsby and Halo. I guess you get a nice devil and angel story. Hyde Street Ice Cream Man. Oh, here's one that's going on my pull list. I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer. Because it's by Doug Wagner and Daniel Hilliard. I've been buying their series. What was their last series? They did vinyl. They do the ones where they like I think vinyl was about a cult versus a group of serial killers. And then they had one plush that was about a corrupt local sheriff's department versus a group of killer what are they called? Plushies? No. The guys who dress furries.
Furries.
So it's killer furries versus corrupt local police. So I think you just likes to pick weird groups and pit them against each other. So I'm definitely going to be getting that one. Ice Cream Man. Oh, this could be interesting. Battle Beast was a character from Invincible by Kirkman. And they're bringing him Robert Kirkman and Ryan Otley and Annalisa Leonia. The best, not quite a superhero series in the universe continues. But so it's interesting that he's bringing back this character who was just sort of a... have either of you read Invincible or seen the Amazon Prime cartoon now?
I've been watching the Amazon Prime cartoon, so I get all my information from the cartoon. Although today I did look at the trade paperback for the first volume of Invincible, and it's like I was hoping to get it at a discount, but it was still the regular price, and it's like not sure if I'm going to pull that trigger.
It's a really good series.
But I am aware of a lot of those characters, and I know, and the Battle Beast, the main character from, I guess, Battle Beast, that character has appeared in the animated series, yes. Okay. So he's been shown a few times. So it's like, so I'm aware of him, and I'm aware of the overall Invincible universe, and I do enjoy what I've seen.
Yeah, like I said, I watched I couldn't even make it through the first episode, but that's just because I know the whole story, and I was kind of, and I'm not a big animation fan. So I love the comic book. Like Bunch loves the animation he's been talking about that.
Yeah, but I'm like, I've been enjoying it immensely because it's like it's familiar because he does go into a lot of the comic book tropes.
Oh yeah,
but at the same time, there is so much going on, and it's a lot of fun.
He created this whole world of superheroes in it,
and
that are pretty cool.
He also, what I like about the animated is that I know that if he could, he would use the other Image characters in it, but he gives good replacement characters for it. So it's like, okay, I see where he would have, if he could have used Spawn here, he would have, but he couldn't. So he ended up using his Wolfman character that I also know that he has his own series as well.
And I know
so they do a good job.
And I know the violence in it shocked a lot of.
It shocked me the first episode, so it was like, oh, this is where we're going with it. Okay, I have a not to say I clutch my pearls, but it's more of the sense of, oh, you just killed that character. Now you can't use that character. And
he's making more.
But he's making more. So he does a really good job with it. So
yeah.
I thought it was like, oh, is he doing that superhero deconstruction stuff? But he's not.
No.
So he does such a good job with it. And little things that I enjoy, because I know in the comic book he did cross over with Spider-Man. You can't do that in the animated thing, but he was able to do a crossover where a character that it's Spider-Man, but it's not Spider-Man. But what's fun is that the voice actor was the voice actor for Spider-Man in one of the cartoons. So you get enough of Spider-Man from it, so you could at least go, okay, I can see where they were going with this. Because I'm almost sure I do have that crossover issue of him and Spider-Man. I don't know if it was a miniseries or if it was just in the book, but I know that there was a crossover, and I'm almost sure I have a copy of that crossover.
Yeah, I have all of Invincible in the hardcover volumes, and it's really worth it. It's a series. That's one of the series I know I'm going to reread more times, and it reads very quickly. It's not a slow moving series, but it's really good.
And I've been watching a couple of YouTube shows about it where they're doing, here is this shot in the comic book where it's like pulled right off the page to be put into the animated series. So I'm enjoying that because of it, and those little like kind of Easter eggs. So part of me is like, I'm enjoying the animated series so much, I almost don't want to read the book because it's like I want to be surprised as it's coming on. So I think I will read at least the first book to bring me
read
up
it. Read it along with the series.
Read as it's going along. Exactly.
But I'm looking forward to that Battle Beast series because I haven't read anything from Kirkman and Invincible in a while. And Battle Beast was one of these super heroic, powerful characters in that universe too.
Right.
You know what? I might pick up Kaya 26. New story arc. This is Wes Craig's series. It's been going on 26 issues. I picked up maybe the first issue or two, and I found it too young adult for me. But maybe I'll pick it up now because I know there's some people who've been reading it that I've seen on YouTube who've enjoyed it. So I might give it another try with issue 26. Another Spawn miniseries, Medieval Spawn.
Hey.
Rory McConville's writing it, so that should be pretty good. Monkey Meat, the Summer Batch, which I won't be picking up, unfortunately. The Moon is Following Us, number 9 of 10. Moon Man 10. Moonshine Bigfoot, number 2.
Does Todd have to send Neil Gaiman a love check for Medieval Spawn?
Was he Medieval Spawn?
Medieval Spawn debuted in the same issue as Angela.
Yeah, then I guess he has to send him a love check. Wow, here's a comic called Knights that's on issue 16 that I don't think I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
It does not sound.
It's amazing how many comics are out there sometimes.
Yeah.
And here's a Null Hunter, which I've been buying. Turns out it's only going up to issue 10. I thought it was 12 since it's the 12 Labors of Hercules.
Huh.
But 8 of 10. Phantom Road is on issue 12. There's one I remember the first issue, but I passed on it. And Power Fantasy and Radiant Black are two of my regulars. They continue. Rat City, number 14, another Spawn one. Which again, Todd says you don't have to buy them all. You don't have to like them all. Just buy the ones you like. Red Coat 12. Rocket Fellas, which I didn't buy because I don't like puns as names. Rogue Sun, I buy. Up to issue 20. Oh, look, there's a. What cover is that? As an X-Men?
That's Uncanny X-Men cover that was Wolverine, Captain America, and Black Widow. So it was a Jim Lee cover.
Ah, okay. A flashback one.
Mm-hmm.
Same in Twitch, the Scorch Spawns, Transformers number 20. Have you been getting Transformers? Is that one of your
That's one of the
books,
ones
Wilson? Transformers?
that was on my pull list, yes. Oh no, that wasn't on my pull list.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
Daniel.
on my that was my shelf pull.
Ah. Tit Goblin says, I don't think anyone's sending Neil love checks anymore.
Oh, Transformers is on my pull list. Okay. I don't think I've seen one in a while. I'm looking at my pull list because I wanted to make sure that I put that new Yasaki Ojimbo on it.
Walking Dead Deluxe 112 and 113, which means we should be getting the colored collected editions soon. Because it's coming, it's pretty close to the end. Oh, We're Taking Everyone Down with Us, number 3 of 6. This is the Matthew Rosenberg one that I ordered the first issue of in that 21 comic week that's upcoming. So we'll see how the World Tree continue up. You'll Do Bad Things. There's the Tyler Boss one. Another 3 of 6 that I ordered the first issue of. The two guys who do What's the Furthest Place from Here each have their own 6-issue series that they're writing. Here we go. This is for Paolo. The Adventures of Spawn Complete Collection trade paperback. Collected in trade paperback for the first. This is the collects the Adventures of Spawn number 1, the director's cut edition, and 2. I guess this is the one that was based on the cartoon. There was a Spawn cartoon.
There
For a
was.
while.
It was on HBO.
Ah,
Adult themes.
here's what you need. The Art of Top Cow Legacy hardcover. Mark Silvestri, Michael Turner, Stefan Sijic, Linda. Say that again, Paolo.
Shayic.
Sijic. Linda Sijic.
No, wait.
Shayic.
Stepan Shayic.
Stepan Sijic. And Linda.
And
No
Linda. Who's
accents
Linda?
at all. Linda Sijic. I don't know, but she's in
Is she
there.
his wife?
His wife. So you get 352 pages, $40. Not bad. 10 by 12. Oh, here's all the trade. Clementine, book 3. I have no idea what Clementine. Huh? From the world of Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead comes the highly anticipated and heart-wrenching finale of Clementine. It's a Walking Dead spinoff.
Well, they had TV
By
spin-offs.
Tilly Walden. I just didn't know it existed. It's a 6x9 manga size, so. Horror, dystopian, LGBTQ+. That just seems like a weird combination. Free Agents. I bought the first issue of that and then didn't buy any others. G.I. Joe, the Cobra Strike. Royals, the Terrific Teacups. No idea what either of those are. Transformers, Wicked and Divine Compendium. Oh, I saw something that I liked but didn't know existed, so I can't get it. I think it was only on Kickstarter. It was a Wicked and Divine collection of their covers. And the cover didn't have the stupid logo over their faces. I was like, I would like to get that, but it was like 2023. The Kickstarter was, and I couldn't get. I saw someone posting they got theirs and on like Blue Sky or something. I'm like, can't get mine. A new version of Lazarus, I guess this is. Culminates here is the Lazarus Battle. Oh, this just must be a hardcover version of the latest Lazarus stuff. Savage Dragon Archives, Volume 11. Ultra Mega and Void Riles. And that's the end of our Image preview.
And the last book that I got from my pull list, Gotcha Man #7.
Gotcha Man. What do you think Gotcha Man means in Japanese? It means Gotcha Man in English.
Could be. That's the reason why it's called Gotcha Man.
I am not sure if it has a translation.
Yeah. Tit Goblin tells us that Walking Dead thing is a youth spin-off from a few years back. Okay. For the youths, that must be why it's manga size. For the youths. You read any comics recently, Paolo?
Nope.
No, you got to start hitting those digital comics.
Yeah, gotta go to the
See what you can
pirate
find.
site. Gotta go to the pirate sites more often.
Yeah. Can you get Marvel Unlimited there?
I can if I choose to.
Okay, I'm just curious if, because who was that? Randy, who we used to work with at Marvel, and who I now teach with. He said he's been getting that Marvel Unlimited, reading it with his kids too, and he's been enjoying it. It's like, oh, okay. Now, who else? I think Sleepy Reader gets Marvel Unlimited too. To read their Marvel comic books.
I've gone back and forth whether or not to get a subscription to it, like because it is kind of connected to the digital comics when you redeem them. It's
Right.
all like connected together. And every now and then I get tempted, and it's like, ooh, maybe I'll get the subscription to it. But at the same time, it's like, but am I going to read them?
Right.
And I'm
already reading physical comics. How?
Right.
I
like,
don't read digital often enough.
Right. So I think about it, but I have yet to do it.
Though I have been getting digital Kickstarters, so I've been reading those. Because that's, if something catches my eye on Kickstarter, I now get it digitally, just because it's so much cheaper than getting the physical comic.
Right.
Gatchaman may have been the name Gatchaman may have been chosen for to be phonetic English.
Okay. I thought it might have been
because the way that the title, the full title of the cartoon is written in Japanese, the Gatchaman part is written in katakana, which are phonetic kanji.
Uh-huh.
The other thing too is like the team is called the Science Ninja Team, and the main leader was called Gotcha Man as his code name. So it's really a nonsense word used for it as well. So it's one of those things that they choose it because it sounded cool.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha, man.
Yes. Kagaku Ninjatai Gatchaman. Yeah, and it's got 6 kanji, which are supposed to represent Gatchaman, and they're katakana. So there's you notice, because sometimes you even if you can't read Japanese, you notice that some things are written in a different type of script, and that script is supposed to be phonetic. So it's usually used for modern words and loan words, because they don't have a traditional way of writing them to be represented by an idea.
I just saw once again on social media a little video of a machine writing with a marker in Chinese characters. And wow, was it doing a good job. I was just like, holy, you couldn't tell this wasn't a human being, besides how neat it was writing these characters. It was just like a machine arm with a literal black marker on the end of it, writing all the Chinese. Don't ask me what it was writing, but it looked so nice. I was like, wow. I wonder what this is for, even. There was no explanation for it when I saw it, or at least I didn't look for the explanation. But I was like, wow. Because I know they have auto pens for like signing things, where like a machine signs your autograph for you.
Right.
But I've never seen one write like a whole page of writing. This one was doing a whole page of writing of Chinese characters. Like, huh. Wonder what that's necessary for.
The AI is writing stories.
Yeah. And they were like I said, it was like doing it with like a 0.5 black marker. So it was intricate little writing. Each character was like, a quarter inch across. I was like, whoa. Who knows? Maybe some science lab was doing it just to prove they could.
Probably. I also picked up these artist pens at Five Below, just to give them a try. So I have no idea if they're waterproof or anything like that. They're just called Fine Line on them. But I like that they feel like not tiny pens, but smaller than usual size pens.
There are so many sets of pens coming out of China. It's crazy. I got one right over here. 2 right over here.
Here's the.
Because I like to try out different sets. What is this one?
There's fine liner on it.
Piachu hand lettering pens. 8 of them.
Okay.
And I think it was this medium brush pen. There it is. That I liked a whole lot. I liked this one for cards. For like inking art cards. It was really good.
This is the brush pen for this set.
Right. It's like I think they're all made in the same factory.
Probably.
Yeah, there's the large one, but it was this medium one that was really good for cards. And I think I found the same thing once again, calligraphy black brush set. Because after I found this one, I was like, I want to see if I can find some more of those medium brush pens, and couldn't on their own. But I found it in this smaller set. Oh, once I think it's out. Yeah, I think that they're pretty much the same pens, but in a different form.
Right.
I'm like, oh, cool. And it was, cheaper to get the 3 than the 8. So I'm like, if I want more of those medium ones, I can get this. Where did it go? Where did my medium one go? I have so many little black pens around here now, because when I put in that Blick order, I ordered another like 4 or 5 little black pens. As a matter of fact, I made my where is it? I swatched out all of my little black pens. And let me show you this.
And I was thinking about that today. Should I swatch black pens?
And I
You did
did
it
it.
already.
See these ones that have the yellow around them?
Yes.
They smear when you put Copic marker over them.
Ah,
So
that's
I
good
don't.
to know.
I'm not going to use any of the yellow ones with Copic marker, with any alcohol marker. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 little black pens. 30 different ones. That's a lot.
Those
And that
you just
doesn't even
signed.
count like that 8 set.
Right.
But yeah, swatch them out.
Yeah.
May as well. Especially
Yeah,
if you're
because
doing those.
I got to test it for the Copics.
Right. So the old 2000 AD credit of lettering robot is now literally coming true. Yeah. Or the, what was that? Leroy lettering that EC Comics
Something
used?
like that. Yeah. I never actually seen the process, but I heard about it.
If you go to Todd Klein's blog, he's got some pictures and stuff on it.
Does he? Okay. I'll check
So you
that
can
out.
see that. That's where I saw it. And I think there's, who is it? Alex J, who's got a blog all about the history of comics lettering. I think he's got some stuff on it too.
Alex J?
Alex J. I forget what the name of his blog is, but Todd Klein might even have a link there. Alex J. Let me see. Is that his?
Alex J used to work for Wildstorm, right?
I don't know. I remember hearing his name, but I don't remember what context. And then I got familiar with his lettering blog. So that's really where I know. That's really what I associate him with now.
Right. According to Klein's blog, Alex did the logo for Walt Simonson's Thor
Oh, okay.
for Marvel.
He's probably
Stars
done a
My
lot of stuff.
Destiny, American Flag, Mighty Thor, Machine Man, New Mutants, Green Lantern's Corps, X Factor, X Force.
Alex
Wonder
J did all
Woman.
those?
Yeah. Oh, this
Okay.
is what's listed under.
On Todd Klein's blog?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he has, because I looked up his name and then that was the first thing that popped up.
Yeah. Funny, I just pointed, who was it? Jeff Powell over to Todd Klein's blog because he was looking for, do you remember the lettering Bible? Were you around for that? Yeah, you are.
No.
It was a
I mean, it might have been one, but I don't think I've seen it.
and it turns out, according to Todd Klein's blog, it was Phil Felix who put it together. But the on-staff letterers used to use it all the time. Whenever the new letterer came on staff, it was photocopies of a lot of cover copy from like the 70s and 80s, because Phil Felix put it together in the mid 80s. And so all the, staff letterers had a copy of it. And, Jeff Powell was like, "Oh, I lost mine. Does anybody know where I can find that?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I know that Todd Klein did a series of 20 blogs on it, where he tracked down where all the cover copy came from on each issue." So that's interesting to read on Todd Klein's website. But the letterers in the 90s could pull out the lettering Bible and match a style from, Danny Crespi in the 70s.
Right.
Back when all that was hand lettered. Mm-hmm.
In the essentials, I used to I learned how to tell artist Mac from Sam Rosen, but apart from that, I could really tell most. I mean, Tom Warzakowski has a recognizable style.
Yeah, I think he's a tech pen guy, and he uses ellipse templates.
And of course, John Workman has a style all his own.
Yeah.
But
classic,
usually I can't tell.
I think maybe Walt Simonson was the only one I was able to tell, because he had a specific look to his. Other than that, it was hard for me to even figure out which one might have been.
That's because we weren't paying attention too.
No, definitely wasn't.
That's what it is. Once you pay attention, it's a lot. It's easier.
Yeah. Like, I developed the eye to tell what inker was on a penciler just from looking at the art, because of doing art returns. And when you got to look at stuff like Al Vey's artwork, Al Vey working over George Perez, there was this like weird, not scratchy, but a back and forth that was almost like a shaky look to it, but you didn't really notice it unless you looked at the original art page.
Yeah. I got to know different inkers' styles pretty young, but I never moved into letterers' styles. We should wrap it up. We should wrap it up and say good evening.
Definitely.
Because, hey, there's some balloons for you. And some confetti. We always wrap it up with some balloons and confetti, laser beams. All right.
Relax, don't do it.
Frankie says relax.
Exactly. And next week I'll show off this gem. Marvel Vision #1.
All right. We're going to go through that next week. A little cliffhanger for everybody.
Here we go.
Okay. Well, everybody have a good week out there.
Take care. Have a great weekend.
We'll catch you next time.